All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into Survive, the island.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
We've got a mountain of intel on this game. Player profiles, early decisions. Heck, we even snagged some cryptic notes from the game's creator.
Yeah, it's like they dropped us right into the middle of a mystery novel.
You got that right. It's basically a choose-your-own adventure, but with real players making decisions that could mean escape, elimination, or something even wilder.
And that's what makes this so fascinating. I mean, think about it. The game takes each player's reasoning into account. It's not just about what they do, but why.
Okay, so for those who haven't been obsessively refreshing the Survive,
Yeah.
the island subreddit, like we have, imagine this. You wake up on this mysterious island, absolutely zero memory of how you got there.
Surrounded by strangers who are just as clueless.
Exactly. And every week, bam, a new life or death decision lands in your lap.
Yeah.
The goal is escape, obviously, but something tells me this island has other plans.
Oh, for sure. Based on what we've seen so far, the island is practically a character in itself.
All right, let's jump right into these player profiles. Alphabetical order. So first up is Andrea. She chose to investigate the shipwreck, but then doubled back to follow those mysterious footprints. What do you make of that?
Well, she specifically mentioned information gathering and maybe spotting potential alliances, classic survival strategy to assess the situation before jumping in.
So Andrea's playing it smart, gathering intel before she commits to anything. Next, we have Andrew. He went for the shipwreck, too. Even cracked a lost joke.
Sounds like he's hoping for a Dharma initiative bunker.
Maybe. But he also decided against climbing the mast, said something about safety concerns.
Interesting. Suggests a practical side to him, someone who actually weighs the risks.
Yeah, good point. No need to rush into danger, especially this early in the game. All right, Boone. He headed inside the shipwreck, but with a group. Safety in numbers, right?
Absolutely. And it's interesting, both he and Brian chose intelligence as their primary skill. Their reasoning aligns too. Both stress the need for information, like they're expecting some kind of puzzle to solve.
Will they team up, or will it be a battle of the brains? I'm already picturing some intense chess matches under the palm trees. Speaking of Brian, our other intelligence guy, he seems even more focused on the possibility of, well, supernatural stuff.
Right. Almost like he's expecting a ghost story instead of a survival challenge.
I know. That difference in perspective could be huge as the game goes on. Okay, on to Chelsea. Jungle route for her, decided to help build a shelter. Pretty practical.
Her reasoning was all about playing to her strengths. She straight up admitted her skills are more in building and securing, not so much hunting or foraging.
Right, self-awareness is huge in these situations. Okay, Chris. Straight to the jungle. Adventure and resources being his main motivators. Strength is his primary skill, so he's probably feeling pretty confident about handling whatever the jungle throws at him.
His reasoning definitely screams proactive and independent. Be interesting to see how he handles things if the challenges get more, well, collaborative.
Good point. Next up, we've got Cowan. Shipwreck for him, driven by curiosity and maybe a little bit of resentment that others left him behind. Endurance is his skill, so maybe he sees this whole thing as a test.
Yeah, his reasoning definitely hinted at a need to prove himself. Powerful motivator, but could also lead to some rash decisions. We'll see.
Okay, this next one's a bit of a head-scratcher. Emily. Endurance is her skill, but she didn't make a choice in either of the first two chapters.
And according to the game creator's notes, 2 missed decisions usually equals game over. Yikes.
It really highlights a key element of the game. Inaction can be just as deadly as making the wrong choice. All right, on to Graham. All about that mast climb. Claims he wants to minimize the risk of it breaking by going first. Cunning is his skill, and I think he's definitely using it.
Oh, for sure. Leader type personality, willing to take charge, make the strategic calls. But will that confidence rub others the wrong way?
Especially since Ian, our next player, also chose the mast. And his reasoning, just, I want to be up first. Talk about a power struggle in the making.
Both chose cunning as their primary skill, so this could get interesting. Clash of egos, strategic competition, who knows what'll happen.
I have a feeling this won't be the last time these two butt heads. Okay, Jill. Jungle for her. Quote, we gotta eat. Resourcefulness is her skill, so definitely focused on immediate needs.
Practical, given the circumstances, but will that short-term focus hurt her in the long run?
Only time will tell if immediate needs translate into long-term success. Now we have Jim, whose reasoning is pretty similar to Jill's. He prioritized water, food, and information, following those footprints into the jungle. Strength is his skill, so he's probably feeling pretty good about his chances.
He seems pretty level-headed, not easily rattled, but will that be enough to deal with the psychological stuff this game throws at you?
Ooh, good point. This island messes with your mind as much as your body. Okay, Jordan, he's the only one who went after that shadowy figure into the jungle, then went looking for water. Endurance is his skill, so he's definitely thinking long-term survival.
Interesting that he's going solo. Not seeking out alliances, at least not yet. Could be a strength, could be a weakness. It's a gamble.
Will he thrive on his own or regret going it alone? We'll have to wait and see. All right, Jordana. Shipwreck, like so many others, but kept her reasoning to herself. Resourceful is her skill, but that's all we've got. A bit of a mystery.
Yeah, her silence is interesting. Taking it all in before she makes her move. Or hiding something, playing it close to the chest.
Now, I'm really curious about Jordana. Next is Kate. Jungle, shelter building group, no reason given. Resourceful is her skill, but her motivations are unclear.
Could be a team player, values collaboration and safety. Or she could be biding her time, waiting for the right moment to make her move.
Yes, we'll have to see what Kate's all about. Lauren. Shipwreck, prioritizing resources, avoiding risks. Endurance is her skill, and it looks like she's taking a cautious approach.
Definitely risk-averse. Might help her avoid early elimination, but will it hold her back from taking those big swings later on?
Playing it safer now. Next, Mayo. Shipwreck said she hates bugs and figured there might be useful stuff inside. Resourcefulness is her skill, so she's making the best of a tricky situation.
Practical and relatable. I mean, who doesn't hate bugs? But I wonder if that focus on comfort will limit her adaptability as things get tougher.
Let's hope she doesn't find any giant spiders in that shipwreck. Okay, Mayoli. Jungle, footprints, then focused on food and water. Basic needs first. Endurance is her skill, so she's all about self-sufficiency.
Practical and independent, that's Mayoli. Willing to rely on her own skills to survive.
Shell, footprints into the jungle, then chose to help build a shelter. Emphasized needing a safe haven. Charisma is her skill, and that group-oriented approach screams leadership.
Definitely prioritizing that sense of community could be a big advantage. Will others be drawn to that? Will she become a leader?
Will she rally the troops, or will that focus on group harmony backfire?
So many questions. All right, Mike. Shipwreck. Needed supplies, tools, the basics. Resourceful is his skill, so he's all about practicality and figuring out what's going on. Logical and efficient. Getting the essentials, trying to piece together the mystery of the shipwreck. Will that detail-oriented approach give him an edge? Time will tell.
Okay, Peter. Jungle, shelter building crew. Highlighted teamwork and division of labor. Resourceful and focused on collaboration and planning ahead.
Believes in teamwork and structure. Could be super valuable to any group, but will he clash with those who are more, independent or impulsive?
All right, almost through the alphabet, Paul. Shipwreck.
Yeah.
Prioritize safety and logic. Endurance is his skill, and he's taking a very measured approach.
Cautious personality, definitely. Will that hold him back or be his saving grace? We shall see.
Slow and steady wins the race, right? Okay, Rosendo. Shipwreck investigation, but didn't trust the footprints, wanted weapons. Cunning is his skill, and I'm already getting some, red flags.
Yeah, that suspicion and focus on threats could definitely cause friction. Will that cunning be an asset or will it lead to, betrayal?
Ooh, Rosendo's giving off some serious villain vibes. Sarah M. Shipwreck. Scared of the jungle and worried about the mass breaking? Charisma's her skill, but it seems like fear is driving her decisions.
Needs to feel secure, that's clear. Will she be able to break out of that comfort zone when she needs to?
Will she rally others with her charisma, or will that fear become contagious? Okay, sadly, another player who didn't make a decision. Sarah R. Resourceful, but missed both deadlines, just like Emily.
And the consequences could be serious. Another reminder that even in a game, inaction can be just as dangerous as the wrong action.
Will she get another chance, or is this the end of the road for her? Only time will tell. 2 more players to go. Typhona, Shipwreck, but no reason given. Resourceful, but her motivations are a complete mystery.
Intriguing silence, observing before making a move, master manipulator pulling strings behind the scenes, who knows?
I can already picture Typhona as the puppet master, orchestrating everything from the shadows. Okay, last but not least, Travis. Jungle, follow the footprints. Said it has all the necessities for survival. Charisma is his skill, and he seems drawn to the abundance of the natural world.
Definitely connected to nature, believes it can provide. Will that give him an edge or leave him unprepared for the, let's say, darker aspects of the island?
We've covered all 26 players, their choices, their reasoning. It's amazing what you can learn about someone from just 2 chapters.
Absolutely. And what jumps out to me is how many went for the shipwreck. It's like it represents safety, the familiar in the face of the unknown.
But it's a finite resource, right?
Yeah.
Those who went into the jungle, whether for practical reasons, adventure, or fear, they're facing a whole different set of challenges.
Exactly. The island is already dividing them, don't you think? I wonder if those divisions will just become more and more pronounced as the game goes on.
I have a feeling they will. The island's like a pressure cooker. As those challenges ramp up, those early choices are going to have ripple effects. Alliances, rivalries, ultimately, who survives?
And remember, we only have snippets of information. These cryptic notes from the game creator, they hint at hidden clues, possible curses, even some Game Master created creatures. Talk about unpredictable.
Oh man, hidden clues, curses, creatures. This is like Lost meets Survivor with a side of Indiana Jones.
Seriously, the game creator isn't just going for a straight survival challenge. They're weaving in mystery, suspense, maybe even a little psychological horror.
This is going to be one wild ride.
It's like we're getting these little peeks behind the curtain, you know? But the game creator is keeping most of it hidden, adding to that whole air of mystery.
I know, and we're only 2 chapters in. So all these hidden clues and curses and creatures lurking around, what are you looking out for? Like, what potential conflicts or turning points do you think are coming?
Well, the one that's practically screaming at us is that leadership struggle. Graham and Ian, both cunning, both want to climb the mast first.
Oh yeah, that could get ugly fast. Especially if things start getting tense, resources get low.
Imagine those two, duking it out on top of a rickety mast with everyone watching. Talk about a power move.
It'd be a scene straight out of a pirate movie.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about Boone and Brian. Both chose intelligence as their skill, but
But will they actually work together? I mean, they took the same path for similar reasons, sure, but...
their motivations might be totally different.
Exactly. Boone seems grounded, practical, while Brian, I don't know, he's got that mystical vibe.
Totally. I wonder if they'll end up butting heads over how to interpret those clues or deal with, potential threats.
Classic conflict, logic versus intuition. Which one wins out in this crazy environment? Who knows?
Then you've got those players who are already going solo. Jordan, Jordana.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll stick to that, or will they have to team up as things get harder?
That's the question, isn't it? Isolation can be a good thing, but it also cuts you off from resources, information.
Support, too. Can't forget that. And Michelle, with all that charisma, she seems like a natural leader, but will that group harmony be enough when things start getting really crazy?
Oh, her leadership will be tested, that's for sure. Can she keep everyone together when the fear kicks in, the uncertainty? Will the pressure cooker environment, cause things to fall apart?
Will she be the one to bring everyone together, or will it all crumble around her? So many possibilities. I'm also thinking about those who went straight for the survival stuff. Jill, Jim. Will they regret focusing on the short term when things get more complicated?
Practicality is important, but survival takes more than just meeting your basic needs.
Right. It's like they're worried about building a fire while everyone else is trying to figure out how to escape the erupting volcano.
Exactly. And speaking of volcanoes, those Game Master created creatures, that's the big wild card here. We know next to nothing about them.
I know. Amorphous. And driven by an unknown force. Reassuring, right? Shapeshifters. Mind control. Ghosts.
That phrase, though, driven by an unknown force, it's like they're not just random threats, but part of something bigger.
Ooh. Like they're connected to the island's mystery somehow. Okay, now I'm getting chills. What about Emily and Sarah R.? They missed those deadlines.
2 missed deadlines. The game creator's notes weren't exactly optimistic about that.
Unless there's a twist. What if their inaction triggers something else entirely? A secret storyline, maybe.
Now that's interesting. Maybe they're not out of the game, just facing a different set of challenges, a hidden game within the game.
Maybe they wake up in some underground bunker, have to solve puzzles to get back to the main game, or maybe they become the prey for those creatures hunted through the jungle.
Endless possibilities, right. And that's what makes this game so captivating. You've got the players making choices, but you've also got the game master pulling strings.
Okay, so we've got potential showdowns, mysterious creatures, and so many questions about how this all works. But why should our listener care? What's the takeaway here?
Because survive. The island, even though it's a game, it reflects so much about us, about how people react in extreme situations.
It's like a social experiment. We're
Yeah.
seeing those basic survival instincts play out.
Yeah.
Fight or flight response, the need for connection, trying to understand and control what's happening.
And even though the stakes aren't real, the emotions are, the strategies, the moral dilemmas. It makes you think, how would I react? What would I do?
It's like the game is holding up a mirror. Makes you confront those instincts, those fears we all share.
And it's not just about individual survival, it's about how groups behave under pressure.
Hmm.
How do alliances form? How do they break down? Who becomes the leader?
Yeah, who steps up?
Mm.
And how do people deal with trust, betrayal? What sacrifices will they make?
It's like watching a season of Survivor, but with even more layers, you know? And because we have the players' reasoning, it's not just about what they do, but why.
Exactly. We're getting a glimpse inside their heads, their motivations, their thought processes. It's fascinating.
It's like we're not just breaking down a game, but exploring what it means to be human. We're using Survive, the island, to look at those big questions about who we are, how we make choices, and how to deal with a world that's unpredictable and often pretty unforgiving.
Okay, so it's more than just a game. It's a reflection of us, our societies, our hopes and fears. But let's bring it back to the game itself. What strategies do you think might actually work in this environment?
Based on what we know, I think adaptability is key. Being able to read the situation, anticipate threats, and change your approach when you need to.
So not just strength or smarts, but being able to think on your feet, be flexible.
Right. And those hidden clues the game creator mentioned, I think they'll be a big deal.
Ooh, yeah. Maps, riddles, messages. Who knows what they could be? Figuring them out might take logic, intuition, maybe even a bit of luck.
And those who can crack the code, they'll have a serious advantage.
It's like those escape rooms, but the entire island is the escape room.
Yeah.
And the stakes are way higher. Alliances are going to be important too, right?
Absolutely. As things get tougher, the threat's more real, you're going to need to rely on others for support, protection, strategy.
But can you trust anyone? I mean, in this kind of environment, betrayal's always on the table. Who's going to make the strongest alliances? Who's going to turn on their friends? Who's going to become the island's power couple?
Now, those are the questions that keep you up at night. And as we go on, those social dynamics will be just as interesting as the challenges themselves, you know?
That's what I love about these deep dives. We're going beyond just watching a game. We're looking at the psychology, the bigger picture. But what about those curses? How do you think those will play out?
Those are the unpredictable element. They could throw everything off balance.
They can mess with individual players, change how they think, weaken their skills,
Oh,
or they could affect the environment itself, create new obstacles.
imagine a curse that makes you paranoid, or allergic to the island's main food source, or one that turns you into a werewolf.
Okay, now you're just messing with me.
Yeah.
But seriously,
Oh.
it's like the game creators saying, let's see how they handle this. Will they panic? Or will they rise to the occasion?
And then there are those creatures, still a total mystery. Are they just obstacles to overcome? Or something more, something with its own intelligence?
I'm picturing them as guardians of the island, ancient and powerful, watching the players, testing them.
Interesting. So are they the villains or gatekeepers? Or maybe even somehow allies?
Maybe they hold the key to escaping. Or maybe they're the final boss fight.
The suspense is killing me. We'll have to wait and see what role they play.
Okay, we've talked about symbolism, potential conflicts, psychology, but we haven't really focused on those who've been quiet. Kate, Kaifana, Travis, what about them?
Right, their silence, it makes you wonder. Are they just watching, waiting for their moment? Or are they playing a deeper game?
Maybe they're the dark horses,
Yeah.
the ones who'll come out of nowhere and surprise everyone.
It's like they're playing a different game. Patience, observation. They might not want the attention, but they could still change everything.
I think those are the players to watch,
Yeah.
the unpredictable ones. But what about you, listener? Who are you rooting for? Who do you think will escape?
It's funny how we form these attachments, even to virtual players. Do we go for the leaders, the strategists, or do we root for the underdogs?
Maybe we see a bit of ourselves in them. Or maybe we're just hooked on the drama of it all.
It shows how powerful stories are. Even in a virtual world, we get caught up in their struggles, their triumphs. We want to know what happens to them.
Okay, we've analyzed choices, looked at conflicts, dug into the mechanics. But what about the island itself? The shipwreck, the jungle, those footprints.
The island's a character, too, you know? It's beautiful and dangerous. It gives and it takes away. It's full of mystery.
It's like a living thing with its own secrets, its own rhythm. And the players are just visitors, trying to survive in a world that doesn't care about them.
The shipwreck, it's like a ghost of the past. A reminder of what these players left behind. Resources, yes, but also loss. The fragility of civilization.
And the players are picking through the wreckage, trying to hold on to anything that might help them in this new world. The jungle, on the other hand, it's the unknown.
Right. full of resources, but also hiding all sorts of danger.
It's like a maze that could lead to safety or to something terrible. And those footprints, they're creepy, right?
Definitely. Like they're being watched, judged, maybe.
Like the island itself is playing with them, leading them on, testing them, showing its secrets only to those it deems worthy.
So are they in control or are they just pieces being moved around on a board?
That's the question, isn't it? Are we in control of our own fate?
Yeah.
Survive. The island makes you confront that in a way few other games can.
It reminds us that even in a game, even in a virtual world, the choices we make, the things we do, they matter. They have consequences.
Okay, so we've talked about symbolism, conflict, psychology, but let's look ahead. What are your predictions? What's the island got in store for these players?
I think things are about to get intense. The game creator's notes, our analysis of the first two chapters, it all points to the stakes getting higher, the challenges more difficult.
Oh, yeah. Alliances will be tested, people will turn on each other, and some might not survive.
And those clues, curses, creatures, they're going to change everything. Those who can figure it all out, they'll have the edge.
It's like the game itself is evolving, becoming more real, more dangerous.
And those who can't adapt, well, the island might have plans for them.
This is where it gets good. We've set the stage, and now we get to watch it all play out. It's like we're watching a reality show, but we've got all this extra insight into why they're doing what they're doing.
Right. It's a unique blend, human nature, strategy, and a story that just pulls you in.
We've got the planners, like Boone and Peter, the bold ones, like Chris and Graham, the natural leaders, Michelle, Travis, and then the quiet ones, like Jordana, Tifana.
Don't forget the wild cards like Rosendo. And those who are barely hanging on, Emily and Sarah are.
It's a mix, that's for sure. And I bet the game creators got even more tricks up their sleeve. Remember those hints about twists, hidden storylines?
Oh, yeah. Things could change drastically in the next few chapters. Maybe new players, or the island itself transforms, creates new problems, new chances.
What if those who got eliminated come back? With a score to settle, or maybe a better understanding of how the game really works.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. It's like the game itself is alive, changing, adapting, throwing curveballs.
And only those who can roll with those punches, embrace the chaos, they'll be the ones who make it.
It's a good metaphor for life, I think. Things change constantly, new challenges pop up. You got to be able to adapt, learn from mistakes, get creative.
So as we wrap up, any final thoughts for our listeners? What should they keep in mind as they watch this all play out?
Pay attention to the little things. The game creator didn't just throw this together, Everything means something.
So don't just watch what the players do, but think about why. Their strategies, how they interact with the island.
Exactly. Look for patterns, connections, things that don't quite add up. Come up with your own theories.
It's like we're all detectives trying to figure out the mystery of Survive, the island. The more you dig into the details, the more you'll understand.
And remember, this is only the beginning. We've just started to explore this world. There are so many questions, twists, and possibilities, drama, suspense, even a little horror.
This has been an awesome deep dive. We started with a basic idea of the game, and now we've uncovered so much more. It's complex, psychological, and it shows how messy human nature can be.
It has been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me too. And for our listener, we hope this deep dive gave you a new way to think about Survive, the island.
More importantly, we hope it's made you curious about survival, about the choices we make, and how strong the human spirit can be.
Keep watching, keep theorizing, and keep those predictions coming. You'll be back soon to dive into more of Survive, the island. Until then, stay curious.